Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Idea Spotlight here on Beyond the Brick. My name is Joshua Hanlon, and today my guest is Davide with his fantastic Climb Brick Gym project.
Hello.
And before we launch on in here, I want to give a big thank you to Clone Army Customs for helping make this live stream possible. If you are looking for amazing custom LEGO Star Wars minifigures or accessories to add to any of your LEGO Star Wars builds, make sure to check them out at clonearmycustoms.com. And you can always look for a link to the website in the description as well. Now, we have an incredible project for you. This is the Climb Brick Gym today. Really incredible looking building with lots of playability inside. So if you want to just start on in telling us about the inspiration behind this project and how you came up with this idea.
Sure. Thank you, Joshua. So basically, I'm very active on LEGO ideas. I had a few projects along this, 2 or 3 years that I back to LEGO. And watching this interview that they made with the builders that made the 10K supporters, they always advise to build something that we like and we enjoy to do in real life. So I thought I'd give it a try because I got into climbing recently, and I thought it was a great idea. And starting from that, then I started to do a little bit of research on how I want that to look like. And usually all these climbing gym, often they are in kind of industrial style kind of building. Because they require a big space. So I did a bit of research online to find something that I like, and then I started from there. So I choose to go for this red brick building that kind of remind of the the Ghostbuster headquarters that LEGO did a few years ago. And from that I started with the outside of the building and then the interiors.
And you said it's kind of like a warehouse type of building that you would see this in. There's a ton of those red masonry bricks in there. Do you know how many exactly you've included in this build?
I don't know how many of those. I think I tried to put some 2x4 and some 2x2, but the total build is exactly 3,000 bricks. I don't know exactly how many.
Wow.
3,000 the whole build. Then I don't know exactly how many masonry we have.
Yeah, so it's fantastic looking project. Let's dive into the details inside now then and kind of take us through what some of the minifigures are doing in there and some of the features that you've been able to include inside.
Yeah, so for the main structure, I decided to make this build as in a way that it can open up, because like in the regular modular building that open from bottom to top, I think it would have been difficult to play inside, considering the tall wall. So I made it in a way that can be open. Then on one side, we have the main wall, the big wall, with all the, regular kind of building that they can do. In one update, I also put the speed building, which is one of the categories where, for example, they will compete in the climbing Olympics games. And on the far side, there is the bouldering area, so the shorter wall that doesn't require the rope. And then there is a lot of little cool details and training equipments and the restroom and the storage room.
So yeah, that's the thing that makes these types of buildings so cool. The modular buildings LEGO does as well, is it's all those little details and the kind of real life features that you would expect to have if you walked into a building like this in real life. So did you purposefully try to capture a lot of those in this build?
Yeah, of course. As for the climbing, I try to put, whatever I usually find in my regular climbing gym. So, all the different color holes. There is a chalk back on all the different mattress to avoid injuries. And then there is the hang board, the campus board, the pull-up bar, all the typical equipment then that you will find in a climbing gym. And then I try also to add a little bit, little details that might be cool even on the exterior. For example, I add some recycling bin on the side. At the back door, there is a kind of Lego graffiti that is coming out with a
I
little
love
cat.
that.
Yeah, I try to add, that little cool details that can give a little bit more to the build. And also I try to make a lot of windows and doors. Otherwise, with a digital building, I think it would have been too basic. So to give more light, I decided to add a lot of these windows, even on the top, on the roof. Then I think we have some other details. I think on the counter area, there is a fridge with some beverage. There is a water cooler. Then I also had some fun making some printed elements or sticker, with the part designer. I think I make a waiver form for at the entrance on the counter. At the back, there is some kind of climbing picture with a little Lego minifigure in the image, a little radio. And I try to create also a logo. So there is a Climb Brick logo. And also I try to recreate a kind of 3 triangles mountain. And you can see that at the main entrance and also on the counter to kind of make it more recognizable as a climbing gym.
Right. You captured a lot of those fantastic details. And one of the things that definitely stands out here and is obviously the focus of the build with the name Climb Brick Gym is the climbing wall itself. So talk a little bit more about how you designed and built that wall, because you've got to get all those different little pieces and elements on there while still making it kind of this smooth, clean climbing wall look.
Correct. So at the beginning, I was thinking about using maybe some plates to try to connect them somehow in different angles, but I thought it would have been too complicated, and I think also the piece count would have been too much, because then I would have to make it smooth with a lot of tiles. At the end, I came out using these hinges, the regular ones, the 2x2 times 2. And for the top, the big wall, they are building in the regular direction, so they are going up. And there are just like a couple of angles. And I use the same technique in the bouldering smaller wall, but in that case is a knot. So I go from the left side to the right. So in this case, I can make the wall coming up so that I can build some overhang climb. And then, of course, in the middle, I use some modified brick in a way that I can put some different shape holes, tiles, slopes, and all the different kind of holes that we can find in a climbing gym. And then I add also some of these blue. In climbing, they call these volumes. So it's also one of the things that you can generally find in a climbing wall.
Those hinge bricks work so well for that. Yeah, to create those neat angles, to be able to give that kind of extra level of detail and just kind of interesting look to the climbing wall, so it's not just straight up and straight across.
Correct. Yes. Then I put also a couple of small room below the bouldering area. Over there, I put one kind of restroom. So like in many of the, let's say, modular Lego building, there is a little restroom, and there is like some bench to use as a changing room. And on the left side, there is a storage where there is a big box with some extra holes, some smaller boxes, toolbox, and then there is a couple of drills because these are also a part of the usual things that you can find in a climbing gym because they generally every once in a while they change the routes, so they need to take off the old to put new one, and they use this kind of drills. So I tried to make it as real as possible, and also a little things on below the stairs on the right. Below I put a little spider with the spider webs. Actually, cannot see much; it's a little bit hidden, but I thought it was another little cool thing because otherwise under those stairs there would be an empty space. So I thought to filling with something else.
Little hidden surprise under there.
Yes, correct.
Now, is this building in the same scale as the modular buildings that Lego has released in the past, so that if someone got this set, they could connect it up with their other modular buildings and would kind of fit in with their city?
Yes, on the left side, there is the space for the pins to connect with other builds. The only difference is that actually opening up in this way, then of course, if you put it in a Lego city, then you wouldn't be able to open it up if it's connected with another building. So that's the only difference. And of course, it's a little bit longer than the usual one. So it's like 1.5 base plate.
Right. So, so to kind of actually get the playability with it, you'd have to separate it from the rest of the buildings and open
Correct.
it up. But besides
Correct.
that, you could display it with the rest of them.
Yeah, of course.
So this is, you said it was 3,000 pieces, quite a large set. What would you have in mind as far as a price point for this if this were to become a set?
Actually, I haven't thought about that, but it came out just nice because generally on the Lego Ideas guidelines, the maximum limit is 3,000, and it came
You wanted
out
to go right up to that.
it came out just nice. I mean, I was not aiming for that, but being that big, that there was no other way to make it smaller, I think.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic looking project. So we'll definitely have a link to this project in the description of the video for anyone watching. You can check that out and go over and vote to help this become an official set. I also wanted to talk about one of your other projects you have going on. You mentioned earlier about how you've done a number of different things on Lego Ideas and you've been involved with the platform for a while. So you have this Pick Your Playlist project, which is kind of like a giant jukebox here with, I think, different instruments around it. So talk a little bit about this project here, because this one really caught my eye too.
So this one actually was born not as a Lego Ideas, but it was initially submitted to a contest that was on Lego Ideas a little while ago, and it was a music contest. Unfortunately, this build didn't make it to the finalist of that contest, but since I already built it and I enjoy and I think it was quite cool, I decided then to upload it as a Lego Ideas, as a product ideas. So basically, there is a main structure on top of the jukebox, and below is, let's say, where the music come from. And I recreate some modules with different music styles. So we have the rock band, the jazz player, the pop player, the DJ, the piano, and basically you can add these modules at the bottom with, let's say, your favorite musical genres, or maybe, anyone can create this favorite one if it's not included here, as if they are playing in the jukebox. And one of the things that I more happy about this project is actually that little musical notes that are coming up. They are actually connected to the white wall, and to make this kind of music effect coming from the musician and going up in the jukebox.
That is a really neat feature. So what is that piece that you used for the musical notes there? Is that just one single piece, or did you build those?
I think so. Yeah, there is two pieces. So one I think is a bracket 1x1, and the other one is a 2x1 modified plate with this little. I don't know exactly what's the technical name for that. Anyways, there is just two pieces, and then I connect to the wall with the new minifigure stand that they released recently. I think for some Marvel or superheroes minifigure series, there is this little transparent stand, so that looks like the minifigure are standing, like flying and stuff like this.
Right, yeah, I've seen some really creative uses of that piece, so that's neat that you were able to incorporate it into this build as well. But this is another fantastic build here, so I'm glad we could get some of your thoughts on that as well. So people can definitely go over. This one is called Pick Your Playlist. If people are interested in supporting this project as well, you can definitely check that out on Lego Ideas. So talk about how you've been getting the word out about your projects, then primarily the Climb Brick gym project, but also this one as well. Where have you kind of been putting the word out? What has people's reaction been so far?
Generally, I try to post mostly on Facebook. Generally, I go in Facebook groups and I post about my builds. I try to post only once in a Facebook group because I think after sometimes it can be a little bit annoying if the builders post too many promotion about their build. So I try to post it once and then see how it goes. And then I post, of course, on Flickr, on Instagram, and these kind of things. Then, like for example, for the climb break gym, I try to reach out to some of the climbing community, climbing Facebook group, and stuff like that. Generally, there is always very good response, a lot of likes on the social media. I'm not sure exactly then how all these likes then turn in a actual support on Lego ideas, because I understand that maybe people on social media just like to scroll and like, leave a comment, but maybe not everyone then go on Lego ideas, create an account and log in. It's not as maybe for an EP project is much easier to get a fan base that go and support a project.
Yeah, it's hard to actually transition those likes and kind of the interest online into real votes for a project. You've got to have a whole lot of people, putting their eyes on it and looking at it before you can actually transition into getting a good number of votes.
Yeah, I think for this project, not IP, the most important thing is to get very popular and at the beginning. Now there is a feature in Lego Ideas where the builders can see the statistics of how many supporters we have each day. So we can kind of see the trend of the supporters that we have. And most of it is in the 1-2 weeks, 1 month, and then there is a big decrease in the number of supporters. This is because when you first post it, the project is in the main page or in the most popular, and they get a lot of viewers. In the moment that they start to slow down in the number of in the popularity, let's say, then it's more difficult to reach out to new supporters, basically. So actually, maybe now it's easier to see a project that reach 10,000 very, very fast than in the long run, maybe.
Right. I think that's what we're seeing a lot of is these projects that just kind of like blow up when they're first posted, and some will, go right to 10,000. Whereas for most others, it's a much longer journey as you try to get the support.
Correct. Yeah, I've seen also with other projects, after the first 3 weeks, 1 month, then it's much more difficult to gather more supporters. But there is some things that can help, maybe being featured in some pages. Actually, even the staff pick choice on Lego Ideas generally gives a good boost on the number of supporters.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to have you on the stream today. So for anyone watching, definitely look for a link to the Climb Brick Gym project in the description of the video, and you can go over and lend your support to this and help it become an official set. But thank you so much for joining me on the live stream and giving your behind the scenes into all these fantastic ideas projects you have, some really good builds. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was great to be here and meet you, Joshua.